family, it's your girl Carter Sade, and you are now tuned into Carter's Table Talks. Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Carter's Table Talks. Today's guest is none other than the lovely Miss Nicole Crenshaw, who happens to be a recent nursing school grad. Her story is one of great resilience, triumph, and determination, and I hope it inspires you just as much as it does me. Let's go ahead and tune into this interview right now. Hello, lovely, and welcome to Carter's Table Talks. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm so excited to speak with you because I have been stalking your page for the last couple of days, actually. But I've just been so moved by your story just to see how far you have come. I actually shed a tear when you posted your graduation picture because I remembered the last conversation that we had, and it was really deep, and you were, contemplating going back to school. So just to see that you did it, like you took the time out, you did what you said you were going to do, and you made it happen, it just made me be like, this is so inspiring. I just had to share with the world.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I remember our last talk. I think we were out to eat.
Yes.
And where were we at? Mother's Day weekend. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mother's Day weekend.
And here we go. Mother's Day weekend again.
Mother's Day weekend. It's so funny that you bring it back because look how things are coming full circle. It's Mother's Day weekend.
That's what I said. Mother's Day. Yeah.
That was a good point. It's Mother's Day weekend, and we did talk Mother's Day weekend. Okay, so let's just go ahead and jump into your story. First off, hats off to you. Congratulations again on graduating from nursing school.
Thank you.
Like I said, I know it's something that you really wanted to do, and I just want to share the story. So let's start from the very beginning, because I do know that you did go to college, maybe like 10 years ago, but you go ahead and you start this.
10 years ago, actually. I actually graduated from Berrien Springs High School in Michigan as a 3-year graduate. So I graduated a year early, but the thing was I was pregnant. I had just found out I was pregnant. So I'm like, what can I do to, I guess, like kind of redeem myself? Because of course it was a disappointment to a lot of people to even know that I was a teen mom. Prior to that, I applied to Spelman. That was my dream college because I wanted to be a pediatrician. So I had plans to go there, study pre-med, and then again, the whole pregnancy thing came, and it's like, so what are you gonna do? So that's when I decided to, reach out to my guidance counselor at the high school that I was going to, like, okay, I'm gonna stay here, I'm gonna keep my baby, but I need to do something. So that's when the whole 3-year grad plan came into effect. Mm-hmm. So basically, I would go to school early in the mornings for high school. I would do like work on the computer for like extra credits, and I would go to regular like school all day for high school. And then after school, I would go to college, like have night classes. So I did this, and I was able to graduate a year early, had my daughter a month after graduation from high school. So at that point, I, was like, okay, I think I'm ready to go to a university because I'd already been doing community college. I wanted that experience, so I went to Grand Valley. No, started off at Western, and Grand Valley. Started off at Grand Valley, and I couldn't really do it. It was too much. My baby was little. She was at home. My mom, I just couldn't be away from her too long. So I did like maybe 2 semesters there. Didn't know enough about credit, so didn't realize when I signed those loans that I was going to be in school. When I withdrew, it just kind of screwed me up. Came back home. So then I owed money to Grand Valley. And then I came back home, and I'm, back at LMC, and I'm like, I think I want to do this again. So I move again, and I go to Kalamazoo, Michigan, and I go to Western Michigan University, and I'm there longer, but I get overwhelmed because here I am, full-time single mom, working 2 part-time jobs and full-time student. So I'm really just trying to figure this thing out. Bills are not stopping. So I'm like, okay, I should pause on school for 1 semester. I can give myself.
How do you really feel about pausing on school for 1 semester?
How do I feel? It was a bad idea.
It was your emotions during that time.
I actually was crying because I'm like, I don't want to do this. I figure I can push through, but it was overwhelming. I had so much going on at that time. But like I said, I gave myself 1 semester because I barely wanted to do that. But like even my family was like, if that's what you think you need, then take that 1 semester and get back into it. So I was like, okay, I reasoned with myself. 1 semester, I can do it. 1 semester turned into 4 years. So long enough to have.
I was gonna say, so what happened between that time of the 4 years? Why did it turn 4 4 years?
So from there, I was just working. I ended up getting into like the nuclear power plants, like industry, which is nothing that I wanted to do. I still wanted to be in healthcare, but the money was good. Still a single mom, got to make it work.
Right.
So, yep. So that I did that for years and years and years, ended up moving to Virginia, 2015. And, life was good there. I got my own little village, my friends, family, became family or whatever. And my grandmother called me, my grandfather was sick. He was already sick, but he was getting sicker. She was his primary like caregiver, and she needed some help.
Right.
So we talked about the idea of me coming back home. During the time, those 4 years, that I had been working, I had been able to start paying off the debt that I had owed to the universities. So I was in a better financial position, never wanted to come back home, but my granny, who was my best friend, she reached out to me about it. I'm like, yeah, we can do it. I can get back in school. I can make it work. So I came home with plans to, do nursing school. And my grandmother, who again was not the sick one, she was the caregiver, she ended up passing away.
Yeah.
So that happened. My grandfather passed away. All this while I'm still trying to do school these past 2 years. And it's been quite the journey. It's been hard. But I pushed through because I knew that even in times I feel like, okay, do I really want to do this right now? Can I do this? Like, do I have the strength to do this?
Were there moments when you actually experienced like depression or disappointment?
Oh, yes. Yeah, definitely. And along with all this stuff too, getting in and out of bad relationships,
Right.
Things that were supposed to be healthy end up turning toxic. So I definitely dealt with depression. And again, it's just me and my daughter. So it's something that I try to hide from her, because I want to make sure that I'm, showing her my best face. But then I realize transparency is also going to help her if in the event she goes through these things later in life. So age appropriate transparency that I was able to provide her. And, she's been rocking with me for 10, this is year 10, she'll be 10 this year. But yeah, definitely had some moments where I couldn't get out of bed, didn't want to study, didn't have the energy, exams. You couldn't even imagine, like I would have this big midlife crisis today, and tomorrow I got to study for an exam. And somehow I now pray, to God that night. I'll look at my stuff very briefly and just like, what, I know it. If I know it, I know it. If I don't, I don't. And somehow God was really like pulling me through these tests and exams, A's and B's. Like I would not have made it without God. I prayed my way through this entire program. Not even gonna lie.
It's so funny you said that because I don't doubt that at all. But I also know that you were also very, very bright. And so just going back to you feeling like it was a disappointment to so many people that you had a baby, like as became a teen mom, even though it might have been so, but I just feel like you were still an example for many because like you were just a star naturally. And like I said, you were also really, really bright and intelligent. And so I just, for one, never doubted the fact that you were going to continue to do what it is that you wanted to do. And I think sometimes people struggle when they have setbacks. So do you, like, what advice would you give to somebody who's in your situation, maybe a single mother who has given up on their dreams and knows that they want to continue to push forward, but they may not know where to start or they just don't have the energy?
Definitely. The first thing is like you are stronger than you give yourself credit for. That's something that I had to keep reminding myself. That's something my grandmother instilled in me, and I would sometimes forget, like those things that you grew up on, your faith and everything. Like in those hard times, you got to dig that stuff back out because that's really is what's going to help you push through. Which is why, as far as like mentoring, that's something that's dear to my heart. I would love to mentor. I've created mine, Still a Queen, but it's for young ladies who were like me in those situations, or young mothers who have dreams and they feel like they can't do it now. It's, I would love to continue to motivate and encourage them, but literally like whatever, if you want something bad enough, literally, if you want it bad enough, you can have it. There's nothing that you cannot obtain as long as you have the mentality, I want this, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get to this goal. It may take longer. That's another thing. Don't compare your journey to other people's journey. Your journey is yours for a specific reason. There's lessons that you need to learn along the way, which, build you up as a woman. But definitely do not compare yourself to other people's journey. Trust the journey. Sometimes it takes longer. Sometimes it's rough. Sometimes it's rocky. But as long as you want it bad enough, you can get there.
So that was good because it brought me to like two different points. You spoke on the fact that you have started a mentoring program. So even though in this long story that you have given, you negate the fact that you also started multiple businesses. So I know that you do makeup, you have a hairline, and again, you just mentioned your mentoring company. So how do you think that's going to play out now that you're going to be a nurse? Like, how are you going to balance all of them? Are you going to stop doing them? Like, what does that look like?
It's all a balancing act. I'm not stopping. I have so many goals, so many things that I want to do, especially with the hair. I realized trying to launch these things during nursing school may not have been the smartest thing for me just because my time, I didn't have time available. I would study. So now, yes, I'll be working as a nurse, but I do have more time available to put more into my craft when it comes to makeup, my business, when it comes to the hair and everything, and mentoring young ladies. Like, I have so many goals. Like, I'm not stopping. I'm going to figure out a way to get
and I hope you'll bring your daughter along for the ride, because I think she is going to be definitely a little role model for little misses in the community.
Yeah, she has her own little goals that she shares with me. So I'm excited to see what she does with it.
But I think this is the perfect balance, because a lot of people see like entrepreneurship and that's it. And so, you know me, I'm advocate for aspiring entrepreneurs, people who want to be entrepreneurs full time. But your story is kind of like the opposite. It's like, okay, be an entrepreneur, but I knew for sure I still wanted to go to school, so I'm going to do that too. Yeah. So I think it's kind of cool for people to see that. It's like what you said, just chase your heart's desire. If you know that this is what you want to do, then put your best foot forward and go ahead and like make that happen, because I feel like people won't be fulfilled until you do what it is you feel like you're called to do.
Exactly. I agree.
Right. So speaking of callings, how did you know that you wanted to be a nurse?
Well, initially I wanted to be a pediatrician. I love kids. I've always known that I wanted to be a doctor of some sort, but because of the journey that life took me on, I know that I wanted to be in healthcare, and I needed to start my career sooner than later. Going to be a medical doctor, that pushes my career start further off. So I'm like, okay, what can I do where I can still care for people, nurture them, and help them? So I'm like, oh, nursing. So then again, not enough brown faces that I know. So I wanted to be one of those. So nursing for me is perfect. But within 3 to 4 years, I plan to be a family nurse practitioner. So it all comes full circle, because I'll still be able to do everything that I wanted to do initially. But as far as like, seeing my grandparents and their health decline and things like that, like I'll be able to care for kids up to the older adults. So everyone in between as well. So I'm definitely fulfilled. Yeah. I got a plan, 3 to 4 years. It's going to happen.
So God's plan is all about alignment, right? And so how did you feel when you were selected to speak about to your class, on behalf of your class, for the nursing program? We talked about the setbacks and how bright you were in high school, and probably one of the brightest in your class, and probably would have done the same thing. So how did you feel to have everything come full circle and being selected to speak on behalf of your nursing class?
It was emotional, good emotions. I cried. Literally, God's favor is something, because I remember at a certain point in my program, and we can share at a later date more specifics, but I remember saying, like, my last thing that I want to do, I want to speak. I want to be speaker. How can I do that? So I literally asked one of my teachers, like, how do they go about choosing and selecting? It's like a competition. Of course, COVID threw everything out of the loop, but I ended up being nominated by all students, like students and faculty. They said overwhelmingly nominated me to be the speaker. So for that, it was just, God is amazing, literally. Like, I speak something, I pray about something, and I know that he hears me because he makes it happen for me. So yeah, that was emotional.
I bet it was emotional, and I'm not surprised that you were selected, because I know that even during this process you started, was it a YouTube channel?
Yes.
And you were giving tips to like nursing students, and I would watch them, and I'm not even a nursing student. I would watch them, and some people just have that voice and that power behind their voice, and you're like, okay, when she speaks, I listen. And so you were one of those people for me. And so when I saw the videos and the tips that you were giving, I'm like, okay, this is a thing. Like, she's about to run, she's going to run with this. Like, are you an aspiring nurse? Like, let me help you with the program. And this is what I had to do. And I was like, it's genius.
Yeah, thank you. I got to get back to it. And that's part of the other part of the story we can share later. But there was some things that I was stopped from doing. That's why I had to stop it. It wasn't because I didn't have time for that. I was actually told that I could not. And we can talk about that, but that's one that kind of fueled the.
Let's just go ahead and do it now. Was it you could not because you were a student, and what did they think you were giving out information?
No.
Why could you not?
Because it's politics.
Okay.
Nursing school politics, that's a completely different topic. And I can't really go into details right now because everything is so fresh with graduation, but we can definitely dive into it. But I was stopped
That's
from
part two of that.
part two for sure. I was stopped. So that's something that I would love to get back to now that I'm done, to help aspiring nursing students, aspiring nurses, etc. Because that's something I still want to do. I still was, jotting down ideas that I couldn't actually do, but I'm still going to do at a certain point soon. So.
Okay. I mean, that's that. We would just table that for now. We'll leave that there, but we would definitely come back because, like I said, we're given multiple gifts, and I think that you're doing a very good job of exercising them all, and that's one. So,
thank you.
To share that story. And so, what is next for you?
Next for me, short term is studying for boards. So I'm done with nursing school. I'm graduated, but we still have to pass our state board exam. We have a temporary nursing license that we're able to work under right now because of COVID. So that gives me a little extra time to prepare. So I'm excited about that. And then just getting a good foundation in nursing, like just having that for sure stability for my daughter is something I'm just so excited about. Like she's excited about. So that's right now. That's what's next. That's the current focus.
So do you plan to stay in the area? Because it kind of seems like it's a blessing. It was a blessing, in disguise for you to go back. And, us being from like small town or anybody else from a small town, home is home. But I get the desire to want to leave and to do more. But I think sometimes we discredit the growth that can come from just standing still and being stable where you are. So how do you feel about staying?
So I am moving, but I'm not going to be back in VA. As much as I love Virginia, the timing right now is not right, and alignment and timing is everything. So I do believe, for the sake of what I had to go through and what's happening right now, so I'm going to be going to Indianapolis, Indiana.
Okay.
So,
oh, wow. Have you ever lived there?
Have not.
Okay.
I never lived there at all. So it's like, oh my God, this is new, like completely. But the job that I was offered, the school that Naya, got accepted to, is like, God is working. There's no other reason why I shouldn't be there. And I'm still close in proximity where I can come back home and mentor the girls from our neighborhood, from our home, and I'm in a position now financially where I can still travel and come back to VA when it's convenient, Right. So I think right now, timing wise, is working out to where Indianapolis is currently going to be home. So
you're going to stay with us now.
Don't make me depressed about it. That's one thing I was like, that's really good. Really.
Because I think alignment is very important. And the concept in this conversation has been occurring is alignment. And I think that you do a very good job at it. So in order to close us out, can you let me know how it is that you're able to recognize God's still voice in your life?
I feel like God has blessed me with the gift of discernment. And it gets stronger and stronger through trials and tribulations. Sometimes where I seem like, I think I can't hear him, I have to sit still and realize he is still there. I grew up in church. I may have strayed at different points, but that's still foundation. So I know where to go, how to sit still, how to listen and trust in him, and know that at the end of the day, it's not what I want for me, it's everything that he wants for me. And that's all I want. So I can sit still, even if it's uncomfortable. Even if it's like, what, God? I need to do what's necessary to get what he wants from me. So just sitting still and just going, again, back to those roots.
I'm about to say, would you say that because it's been a 10-year span. I'm so proud of you. It's really been a 10-year span. Like, this is 2020 now. Like,
yes,
but it doesn't matter. Like, I just feel like it happened the way it was supposed to happen.
Yeah, I wouldn't go back and change a thing.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that next. Like, if there was something that you could change to get you from where you are now to here today, what would that be?
If I'm being honest, I can't change anything because the course of my life would be different. I have gone through some stuff, some hurtful stuff, some hard stuff, things that some people may not be able to make it through. But again, I think that has all built up the character that I need and, the woman that I want to be. And it's continuously just unfolding. So I really can't change anything because I wouldn't be who I am today. And I still have a long way to go, but I can look back now and see how far I've come. So I wouldn't change it.
And when you visualize yourself as a woman in the future, because I already know I said this is the end, but this is continuing. Sorry. When you visualize yourself as a woman in the future, what does she look like? What are some words that describe that woman that you want to be?
She is 100% confident in herself and her gifts. She, I would love to be able to walk in the gifts that God has blessed me with comfortably, confidently, financially stable. My daughter is thriving, you know, she's very creative. So I just foresee us just having continuously building this wonderful relationship that we already have now, but just, you know, pouring into her gifts and her creativity and her art. We will be traveling. That's something that I want to do, mother-daughter traveling, maybe, you know, obviously marriage somewhere down the line when it's time.
I want that too. Manifest it, girl, manifest it.
Yes, so marriage, you know, my daughter's getting older, so maybe another child at some point. But that's so far. Right now, it's just really becoming the boss at, you know, the businesses that I want to create. And even as a nurse, like a nurse entrepreneur, I have so many great plans.
It's so many ways you can be creative today. That's what I'm saying. I think it's just so cool how you're tapping into both, like being an entrepreneur and being a full-time career woman. Like, there's so many ways you can be creative.
There's so many opportunities, and it's just, nursing is such a field where, like, if you get burnt out in one area, you don't have to switch your degree or anything like that. You can just go to a completely different area within nursing. It's so large. The opportunities are endless. Like, and I'm excited.
I'm excited for you. Like, so I just want to say thank you again for being a guest on this show, because again, I said your story inspired us, and I know that it's going to inspire so many more. And I just hope and pray that you continue to thrive in life, and that you use your voice, and that you exercise your platforms to the maximum potential.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. I'm going to end this now.
Okay.